Good, it got quiet like church. What happened?
Yeah.
This is the production class. So anyway, this is the workshop panel, Lights, Camera, LA. My name is Marvin Marcelo. I'm a faculty member here at the Murrow College of Communication in the Journalism and Media Production. I know that most of you are seen. I've met most of you here, and so I hope you enjoy this semester's panel there. Is that better? Max was giving me this sign saying I'm not talking into the microphone. Anyway, as we start, let me introduce our panel members here. Let's see if it works. This is Ian Kennedy. Ian is president and executive producer at MDOT's Design, a visual creative services company. If you watched a major award show over the past 19 years, you've seen Ian's work. He has produced motion graphics and video content for the Emmy Awards, Grammy Awards, Academy Awards, and the Tony Awards. If it's a big awards show or a live television event, Ian Kennedy's team and company at MDOT's is probably involved. His degree in broadcast production, along with his work at Cable 8 and Northwest Public Television, gave him the building blocks needed to succeed in a career in film and television. And as a bonus, he also managed to make lifelong friends and meet his wife, Kate, a fellow Murrow grad, and this is what they call the full college experience. Ian Kennedy. Next is Doneen Arquines. She is the executive producer. Oops, sorry, press this button. That's Ian. Here we go. Sorry, this is...
I heard your name, I was losing hope, but you felt the same. And it's been so long since I've seen your face, that in my own mind, I'd been replaced. God, since you come around, God, I need to know right now. So won't you just tell me inside your heart, if I could just remain.
So can you imagine any show like this one right here? I need some graphics here because it's just a talking head. Otherwise, without Ian's company, that's what it would be. Okay, next, Doneen Arquines. Doneen is an executive producer and showrunner at Magical Elves. She's currently the showrunner for, is that right? Okay, for the Emmy and Critics' Choice Award winning competition Top Chef for Bravo. With 19 nominations under her belt, Emmy nominations under her belt, Doneen is also an executive producer for NBC's newest show, Yes Chef, which premieres Monday, April 28th. Check your local listings for more information.
Yeah.
And this
After
is
the
done.
voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, this looks beautiful! So how are you guys enjoying your time on Top Chef? Yeah!
Top Chef is back.
Let's cook, baby. Let's cook.
15 rising star chefs have come to Canada to compete in the ultimate culinary showdown.
Poutine.
Poutine.
Never eaten so much poutine before.
Yes, girl.
They're here to fight for the biggest prize ever, over $500,000 up for grabs.
A lot of dough on the line, right?
I was nominated for Rising Chef of the Year. Indian household is kind of like Talladega Nights. If you're not first, you are last.
I was the only female chef de cuisine of a 3 Michelin star in the U.S.
I can fry chicken and I can make a torchon of foie gras. My job's not done until I win Top Chef.
Beautiful.
A lot of love in this dish.
It gives you these little pops of like brightness.
I love the heart behind it.
To execute something like that is unbelievable at this stage of the competition.
I get grumpy when the food's not so good. I'm not grumpy right now.
Nailed it.
You want to hang out with me?
Is this thing moving?
We open! Woo! Please welcome today's guest judge, Michael Cera. Punky Johnson.
What's up, y'all?
Daniel Baloo.
Already? They're dropping the D-bomb?
Yeah, watch the lasers.
Shall we do a triple axel?
I'm gonna do what you guys are doing since I'm a guest.
Glad we got to come to another part of Canada.
It's gorgeous.
2 torches better than 1.
Let's hope that doesn't leave you in a pickle.
You know, at some point, we all decided that we wanted to be chefs.
Am I missing one? Oh my God.
And it's long hours, but it's all worth it.
Sweating my ass off.
Something burning?
Hovering.
Let me do my thing. Don't bother me.
I have a little bit of an ego.
The Top Chef kitchen is not the place to work out your baggage.
Flex you. Don't flex other people's accomplishments.
2 minutes.
The next Top Chef is...
Can I compete?
Yes, go Top.
It's aired now.
All right, our next panel speaker is Stephen Thorpe. He's the head of video at Wondery, an Amazon company where he leads the video podcast business for premium shows like New Height with Jason and Travis Kels. Is it Kels or Kelsey? Kelsey.
Come on.
I thought someone said it was Kels and everyone was pronouncing it right. Is it Kelsey?
Kelsey.
Yeah, whatever, whoever that is. Armchair expert with Dax Shepard, baby. This is Kiki Palmer, and we are playing spades. Sorry for my pronunciation. Prior to joining Wondery, Steve led teams at NEP Group, delivering Major League Soccer on Apple TV, NFL Sunday Ticket on YouTube TV and Netflix Live, Fox streaming Super Bowl 45, FIFA World Cup, etc., and NBC launching its first mobile app. He is a proud alumni of the Edward R. Murrow College of Education with a degree in broadcast production.
Hello.
Can you see me?
I'm talking to you and you and you.
So things have been heating up.
I have a question about the... Guys, don't fight.
Y'all make some noise.
I think this is a new golden age of audio. It's possible to lose yourself in a podcast, the way that we lose ourselves in a great movie.
I listened to this podcast on Wondery.
And I'm a giant fan. Man, you guys together are hysterical.
Thank you, George. Thank you.
Wondery has produced more than 50 #1 hits, far more than any other podcast studio.
Now you know you've got a decent podcast when you're part of the Wondery gang.
He could have been stopped within days.
What's the worst that can happen? A lawsuit? Come on. Money?
Scalpel.
What'd you do, Paulo? What did you do to them?
I'm gonna give you a hug. I'm a hugger.
This is what tomorrow looks like.
This is Morbid Live Edition.
What makes a good story? Good twist and own the story when you tell it.
I'll kick your ass in Scrabble.
Exactly.
There it is.
Everyone, please welcome Guy Raz!
His new podcast available now on Wondery Plus. Please welcome James Austin Johnson.
I don't know quite how it happened, but here I am.
The rising star fizzled far too soon.
It was a picture-perfect life.
Sat down with former NBA player Rex Chapman to talk about his new podcast.
Hands up who's had a bad day in this audience, right? There we go.
So I've got to ask you.
All right, Bess.
Keep going.
This is History Daily, hosted, edited, and executive produced by me, Lindsey Graham.
He hears a man's voice come out of the darkness that says,
Put Kurma, feeling.
Is my video on? Oh, that was good.
Okay, so we were going to start, I think, with Ian talking about your career path and what's going on with you, but I think we had a slide that you want to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
Can I put it up?
Sure. So maybe jumping right into, because I know artificial intelligence is this good for sound? Is a big topic, how to use it, when to use it, what have you. So we just recently did a show for the Grand Ole Opry in Nashville, 100th anniversary, and a bunch of tribute performances. And you plan that ahead of time. You have all of your ducks in a row, all the looks that go behind all the performers when they sing their individual songs. The night before the show was when Reba McEntire was rehearsing. The bigger the name, the closer to the show that they rehearse. And apparently nobody ever showed her any of the samples that we sent for people. So she decided she wanted something different for her. We had a nice look with train tracks and things like that, but she wanted something with a marsh and weeping willows and a moon. But this is, 12 hours before the show. So normally a composition like that would take quite a while to put together because not only do you have to, if you're taking a look at this here, it's not just a photo. We have to make it come to life. It's called a living still. Little ripples in the water. Maybe the clouds are moving a little bit. Everything gets pulled apart because, on camera, different things are different brightnesses. So maybe the moon's too bright or not bright enough, all that sort of stuff. So we started with an AI-generated image. And then our artist took it apart and made all the various things for the media server folks to be able to play that back properly. And it was all done in a couple, 3 hours, when normally that'd be a start to finish a week-long project. So in those situations, AI isn't doing all the work, but it's a great building block in a way to take a professional shortcut to get to the finish line on time. So I know we kind of jumped ahead in that, but there we are.
Yeah, I'm sorry to jump ahead. I just saw the photo and went, oh my God, we got to see this. Anyway, okay, so let's start from the beginning. Ian, since you started, tell us about a little bit about your background and how you got into it and all that and stuff.
Sure. So, what I do now, producing and directing, screens, performances, graphics, all that sort of stuff. Never thought that's where I was gonna be in my life. I really enjoy it. It's fun. The musical performances are what I really enjoy. Started off graduating back in the 90s, and I had a couple, 3 options for, my first job out of school. I had an offer to go work for a station in Seattle in their documentary, investigative journalism department, which is kind of what I thought I wanted to do. And then I also was considering going to, staying on and getting my master's degree at the Murrow School. So I had was offered an assistantship, and that sounded really great. And I was talking to Marvin about it, and he said he had another opportunity, and it was to be a production assistant up in a small company in Spokane, Washington, just north of here. And I'd be the gopher, I'd make lunch for the employees and the students each day. After hours, be the janitor. All this sounded really, really enticing. And so I wasn't even really considering it, but Marvin told me I should. Went up and met with them, and it seemed like they were doing some really fun stuff. And took the job. It wasn't 2 or 3 months later that I was in Los Angeles in the back of a huge truck in a dark room, trying not to sweat into the film magazines that I was loading and unloading all day long. And it kind of took off from there. I ended up producing a number of lower budget independent feature films, as well as various other things. And at some point decided live television was what I wanted to do. And since I had colleagues all over the place back then, you couldn't just do everything on your laptop. Post-production facilities were very important, and all of the the digital intermediate stuff was happening in Los Angeles for the most part, so I was spending a lot of time flying back and forth to Los Angeles, and met my current partner in our company that does live TV graphics, and have never looked back.
Great, thanks. Doneen?
Actually, my whole career path started really with Marvin's question, what do you want to do? And where do you want to go? That was the biggest question, actually, because everybody was. I feel like I was in a class that had a lot of people who knew they wanted to go into the news, they wanted to go to Spokane, they wanted to go to Seattle, they wanted to do all these things. It was like Marvin's like, where do you want to go? And I was like, I don't know. I don't think I want to do the news. I think I want to do TV, and I want to go to LA or New York, And Marvin was able to connect me with a lot of the LA Cougs, and they, happenstance, had come up to WSU for Neil Robeson's retirement that year that I was graduating, and I made a lot of connections, met a lot of people, and was able to let them know I wanted to move to LA eventually, and so they just said, keep in touch. And I went home to Seattle for the summer, and I worked my Joanne Fabrics and Crafts job, saving up money, R.I.P. Joanne's, and really loved that job, actually. But by September, I was ready. I think I was like, if I stay here, I'm gonna stay here and become a manager, and I'm never gonna leave, And so another Coug actually hit me up 2 weeks before. I was like, I'm doing it, I'm going down. And I was like, oh shit. I need to do it. I just need to do it, rip the Band-Aid off. So I went down, and I luckily had like a second cousin on my dad's side of the family that had an extra room and I could stay in. And, I applied for a lot of jobs when I first got down there, including Joanne's, and I didn't get the job. But 2 weeks later, they were looking for a PA on a new cooking show called Top Chef. And the production company produced Project One Way, which I was familiar with, and I'd watched the first season while I was here in Pullman, and I was really interested in that show, so I was like, yeah, sign me up, I interviewed, and I was lucky enough to get the job, and and I was able to make myself useful and just kind of worked my way up from there. Doing other shows in between, but always coming back. I was able to come back and stay connected to the people that were working on the show and at the company, so that they'd hopefully call me back next season, and then the season after that. And then by the 5th season, I had so much knowledge about the show and the people that we needed to get onto the show and how things worked that they kind of had to have me around, So yeah, it just kind of worked out.
Doneen's being a little humble there. To be a showrunner of a top reality show like that with 19 Emmy Award nominations, that's a pretty big deal. So just want to make sure that you're recognized for that. Also, one of the first shows you worked on was Breaking Up with Shannon Doherty, right?
Yeah, that was my first AP job. Scott Halleck, wherever he is. Their team hired me. Yeah.
Great. All right, Steve.
Yeah, absolutely. So after graduating WSU, really just made that leap of faith down to LA. Had thankfully put together a little bit of a plan and saved some money for how I was going to go down there and break in. But really, ultimately, just packed up my truck and drove south with dreams of Hollywood. Thankfully, was able to within the first couple of weeks land that first job actually through a Coug. They were looking for a PA just to come in for a day. They had gotten a call literally to come in the next day. They weren't able to do it. They already booked, and then so they sent them my way. I was able to then the next morning go in, start working on that show, and honestly just out-hustled everybody and showed them that I was worth keeping around. And so that first day of job turned into my first 6 months of work down in LA. Was then able to turn it in to the next role, actually working with, some of you may have heard, Scare Tactics, working with Mike Harney and Scott Halleck, who's also here. And that turned into the next opportunity, working through reality TV, making some great shows. This was still very very entry level. I had graduated from PA to technical coordinator, but basically it was meant camera PA. So that was great, but ultimately ended up coming to a close, and was able to take that experience that I had gotten on Scare Tactics, and again, just ultimately doing more than I was required, looking for that next opportunity to out hustle, to learn something new, to say, to never say that's not my job, but, taking all those skills that I developed with their post-production department, with their camera department, and I was able to turn that into an opportunity with NBC that I then stayed with for about 7 years growing up with them. Started publishing episodes of The Office and SNL and 30 Rock to their website so that you could actually watch TV on the internet. That was one of the first times that had ever been done. Ended up turning that into something called product management, which basically meant I was helping invent how people were able to watch TV on their phones. And so the NBC app was actually one of the first places that you could actually watch TV on your phone. Fast forward a little bit, ended up doing that at NBC for about 7 years, then got an opportunity to do the same at Fox. And so at Fox, grew up quite a bit, spent about 8 years there, culminating with streaming the Super Bowl back in 2020 for the first time in 4K and HDR. We had a team of about 300 people that were not actually just producing the game or in a truck, but literally in a soundstage in Los Angeles that were just looking after making sure that you could actually stream it on your phone or your Apple TV or your Roku or your Fire TV. And that went off without a hitch. Was pretty incredible. From there, turned that into another opportunity with a company called NEP. If any of you work on sports crew here at WSU, you see those big production trucks that roll in and do like Cougar football or Cougar basketball. NEP is one of the big companies that provides those trucks. And I joined to help build out a new concept, which was all about centralized production. And so we built the broadcast backend, as Marvin said, for Apple TV Plus and their MLS offering, for YouTube's Sunday Ticket offering with the NFL, as well as then helping Netflix get into live. About a year ago, that opportunity turned into the opportunity to join Amazon and Wondery, and really take those skills that I had done about basically inventing a new business and helping think through all of the problems that come with that, from production to distribution to honestly how to hire a team, and was basically asked by Amazon and Wondery to help them transition from an audio-only business into one that was delivering video. And so over the last year have been honestly just helping the team figure that out and make some magic happen. So it's been fun.
Great. Now, all of you had some key moments in your career where you had to make a decision or figure out what you wanted to do. And I know, Ian, when we saw you one of the times in Spokane, you were shooting a movie with Cuba Gooding Jr. What was it called?
It's a long time ago, Marvin. It'll come to me in a minute.
Okay, all right. But anyway, as you navigated your career, what were some key moments that kind of helped you know where you wanted to be at your situation right now?
Well, I think Steve made a really good point of never saying it's not my job. So there were a lot of instances, when we started making films, it was right at the transition of analog only, going to the film lab and looking at answer prints and telling the old analog timer, 2 more points, red, 3 points green, to being able to actually do that sort of editing and color correction in the computer. And it wasn't necessarily my forte at the time, but it was like there was a vacuum there, and I decided I was going to fill it. So I became an expert at 2K digital intermediates for feature films, and that was one of the moments. And then you just keep moving on down the line, and just like Steve invented video on the phone. I bet you didn't know you were going to meet that guy today. You just you see a need and you fill it. Yeah.
Yeah. And Doneen, I know working from a PA to showrunner is an extreme career ladder climb. Can you tell us some kind of key moments at that time that kind of made that change for you?
Well, I'm definitely not technical like these guys. A lot of the things that they talk about, I'm like, right over my head. I don't know what you're talking about, but cool. It's very impressive. But when you kind of when I was a PA and kind of seeing what jobs were available, it seemed clear to me that there was 2 paths that I could take, and there was a creative path and there was a logistical path. There's on most productions, if you're not in a technical job, you're in the production management coordinating roles, and those people are very organized. They're very meticulous. They're list keepers. They're checking off things on their checklist. And there's the creative side, which you have to have logistical things for as well, because, and especially in my show, we're challenge heavy. We have to, we're booking locations, we're planning out where everything goes, and there's a lot of logistics involved in it, but most of my job is spent with the creative, and it's, brainstorming with teams to come up with the crazy challenges, like what are we gonna do today? How much is our time limit? Can this kitchen fit that many chefs in it, and that kind of thing. And so I quickly learned that the creative path was the path that I wanted to go down. And I think the thing was, for me, I just so enjoy being not in an office setting and being in the field and doing something different every day. I was going to a different location every day. And I would see people around me, they're doing the same job I am, but then they're like, okay, bye, when their job is done. I was like, can I come sit in Video Village and watch what's happening? And they let me. And I'm like, I sat in Video Village. Like, my job was done, but I would stay until we wrapped every day, and I would just watch. I became kind of invaluable. And then when it came time for people to move on, and they were tired of doing the job and wanted people to move up, they're like, oh, well, Doneen can do that. She knows how it works, Why don't you come sit next to me and see what I do and shadow me, and when I could kind of learn how to do everything. And when the time came, I think I was ready sooner than I was doing, but I was still very young, and it was still I hadn't been doing it for that long. But they gave other people the opportunity, and that didn't go so well. And then they were like, what? Why don't you try and do this finale? Why don't you do it? And I was like, okay, great. Happy to. And it just kind of, took off from there. So I think that's kind of
great.
Yeah.
And then Steve, I remember you here as a student helping start Cable 8's web page and doing a lot of technical stuff. And when you graduated, I remember seeing a photo of you at Costco with 14 televisions that you were sent to purchase as one of your first jobs. Can
Yeah.
you tell us about your career path and how things
Oh, that's
changed?
hilarious. Well, let me just touch on that story. So the first job that I talked about, where it was the one day that turned into everything, weirdest job I ever had. It was really a lesson in everything not to do in television. It was great to get a paycheck, but like lots of lessons learned. The company was a shit show. One of the first instructions that I had was literally go to Costco and buy as many TVs as will fit in your truck. Not buy 10 TVs or anything like that. Literally, the instruction was as many as you could fit in your truck. And so I bought like 14 TVs and I had to return one of them because it wouldn't fit in my truck. So weird. So you'll learn in LA, like there are a lot of opportunities.
What were they for?
What's that?
What were the TVs
We were
for?
just hanging them around the office. Like it was like very strange. I don't know. But yeah, so I guess to your question about some of those career moments, I think honestly echoing what Doneen and Ian said, one of the best pieces of advice that I got from one of my mentors was asking the question, introduce yourself to me in 5 years. Really trying to think through who is that person that I want to be in 5 years, and starting to define the answer to that question. And like for what it's worth, I try and ask my question that today, and I still maybe don't have like the perfect answer to that of like a job role, but for me early on I was able to answer that question as I want to be someone who's working at the intersection of technology and entertainment. And with that, that was definitely something, as Marvin said, I got to do here at WSU, helping with the Cable 8 website. But then as I moved to LA, that was working on NBC.com at the time and helping figure out how we could get video on the internet. As things progressed, that was, streaming the Super Bowl in 4K. And now it's very much the same thing with kind of a different set of problems. But we are, really trying to figure out how can we do honestly budget production in many cases, but do that in a very efficient way with some of the largest talent in the world, and do that in a way that then gets distributed very, very broadly, and in a way that becomes profitable, makes money, and does that in a way that is very creative, in a way that is looking to the new creator economy that we're developing today. So, I think for me it's really been having a level of flexibility, and not necessarily saying, having a rigid path of like this, then this, then this, then this, but saying, all right, here's kind of how I answer that question. Where do I want to be in 5 years? I want to do something that's at that intersection of television and or technology and content, and then using that to kind of have a series of guideposts throughout my career to lead to what's next, and honestly saying yes to opportunities.
Great. So as students here, as you were falling asleep in my class during the time code lecture,
I can still tell you about drop frame, non-drop, yeah.
Were you ever envisioning what you would be doing in this career, and did it kind of come true for you, or did you just follow the path that was kind of laid out in front of you?
I was also an anthropology major, so I double majored in anthropology, and I thought I was going to go make documentaries. Reality TV is kind of a documentary in a weird way, but yeah, not exactly what I thought I was going to be doing. But I'm very happy with where I've landed, for sure. Maybe one day.
Yeah, and for me, don't have a fine art background, can barely draw a stick figure, but I can produce great graphics and great screens because I know it's good, and I know how to communicate with our artists and the performers and the talent and all that sort of stuff. So it's kind of where it's taken me. My job is a combination of creativity and technology. It's always so similar to the sentiments that Steve mentioned, because that's my strength. Self-taught video engineer. It's always a science project when we get on site, and the director decides that, oh well, I know I told you I wasn't going to do this, but yeah, we want to see the intro package in that screen 3 seconds before we cut full, and oh by the way, everything needs to be in sync. It's no good if you're 4 frames out of sync, with the sound versus what the what the presenter on stage is singing or saying. So it's interesting. So yeah, getting that technical background is important, because it's all the stuff we're doing, no matter where you end up, There's a lot of technology, and it's moving fast.
Yeah.
Steve, I want to start with you. Ian touched on it a little bit in his organization about AI, but AI has taken over so many things in our industry. And how are you dealing with AI since Amazon actually encourages you to use it?
Yeah, absolutely. So, being part of Amazon, you probably are aware one of our big investment areas is AWS, so investing in cloud services. And so with that, Amazon has literally multi-billion-dollar investments in building AI tools, as well as investments in other AI companies. And so this is an incredible opportunity to really play with the cutting edge and think about how that is going to define content creation and everything that we're doing in the future. And so my personal take on this today is the tools that are out there are honestly incredible, but they are just tools. Like, it's a really advanced version of spell check. Ultimately, you're not going to be able to ask the AI to, write your term paper, or write an incredible script. Or in my world, one of the things that we're experimenting with is how can we turn an audio-only podcast into something that is visual. And it's exciting to be able to play with that, but it's not there yet. Ultimately, it still requires humans to be able to utilize these toolkits, to be able to describe what you want it to produce, and then work with it to continue to refine and enhance it. And so ultimately, I think it's important for everybody in this room to be familiar with the tools, to be able to utilize them, to understand what they can help you with and how they can help you move faster and be more efficient, but then also understand it's not going to do the work for you. You ultimately still have to have that great idea. If you're going into news, you still have to do the original reporting. If you're going into design, you still have to be able to utilize Photoshop and After Effects and all the tools to actually be able to take that idea and turn it into a finished product. So ultimately, it's another tool in the toolkit. It's an incredibly powerful tool, and one that honestly is going to be part of our daily lives in every sense going forward. And so it's important to be fluent in those tool sets, but it is at the core just another tool that we have to be able to use responsibly.
Doneen, how's it in your area?
Yeah, I was telling them earlier, so I just finished a first season show for NBC, and part of how we get creative approved for episodes is we have full write-ups, we do a pitch deck, and we pitch up many ideas, and then they select the ones that they like. And you kind of have to flesh out like all the details of the challenge, how it's going to go. It's very long, and also because it's a new show, we don't really know how it's going to go. So they requested that we do a whole creative deck with photos and things, and well, I don't have photos of these specific things, and we're trying to come up with something new. So we created AI images to help illustrate what we are trying to attempt out of those challenges. And then, in order to pitch it up to the boss and not have a 30-page document, they asked us to streamline the write-ups so that they could pitch the creative to their bosses. So ran it through AI to say, cull down, basically to like summarize this 3-page thing into 1-2 paragraphs, and it did it. You still had to double check it, obviously, but it did a good job. It saved a lot of time because we were on tight deadlines. And also, we do use this in post-production in doing transcriptions. So in the past, what would have typically been a job of a logger, somebody who's literally just listening to all of the footage and typing everything that they hear, we can run it through an AI and spits out all of that much quicker. We still also have a person go through and correct some words because some words are not correct, especially names.
Names can be hilarious.
Yeah. And also you might read the sentence and you're like, that doesn't sound like a real sentence, so let me just double check what they're saying here, and you might have that. But it helps because we actually had stopped transcribing all of the footage at some point because it's just too cost prohibitive, and we were only transcribing interviews. And so this is just a really helpful tool for us to be able to really quickly scan through a scene and look for keywords. So we can just type, if there's like somebody's using carrots, like I can type carrot and find if somebody ever said anything about a carrot, and it can find it like that. Which rather than like having to really like watch the footage and listen to that person's mic, because you've got 15 people in a mic and you can't listen to 15 people at the same time. So it really saves a lot of time for us.
Great. Many students may be thinking about making a trek down to LA. And for those considering to start their careers there, what key advice would you give them in terms of preparation, expectations, and networking would you tell them? We'll start with Ian.
Well, yes. As we've all discussed, it's good to have a plan, right? So, when earlier Steve and I were talking, and his specific plan. Sorry to steal a little bit of your thunder there, Steve. Was you got a job where you lived and saved up money and made connections and let people know your desire to move down, and I think that's similar story. So just showing up and not having a plan, that's not so great. But there's a big contingent of WSU Cougars down there that are in all different aspects of this crazy entertainment industry, and we all want to help. So we can help when we can, and if we can't help you, we can refer you to somebody else. And I'll let you continue on there.
No, I'll just say +1 to all that.
Yeah.
I think let me be very specific, because I think there are some things to think about. Having a plan is key, and so part of that is having enough money saved so that you're able to survive in maybe that first couple of months. In my world, when I moved down kind of on that hope and a dream. I had some money saved, but I didn't have a place to live long term. I didn't have a job, and so, but luckily I knew where I was going to stay that first week there. Was able to sleep on some friends' couches. Had some money saved, and I knew, all right, that first opportunity down there, I'm going to spend that first month just networking like crazy. And so, there are opportunities in LA to meet Cougs, and so if you move down during the football season, there's a group of alumni that meet every Saturday and watch Cougar football. And so that's an incredible opportunity to go meet like-minded people and start the network. Those opportunities beyond just kind of Cougar football, are numerous. Whether it's new opportunities, maybe getting in through some of the unions or through other networking opportunities. With Cougars down there and with people in that extended environment. And also just say, honestly, I think you're taking the first step today, just coming to panels like this and coming to the Symposium, meeting folks like us and the rest of the alumni that are here. These are great relationships for you to start forming, and definitely encourage everybody to come up and say hi to us and get our contact information. And if you're thinking about coming down, definitely reach out in advance of that. And when you get down there, and I'll say, at least speaking for myself, would love to grab coffee or make introductions as we can. I will also just say, I know, speaking for myself as well as these folks, incredibly busy, and so don't take offense if we don't respond to your first email. Be persistent. That's okay. Be professional, but it's okay to also be persistent, knowing that just everybody is so busy, and it's not because they're ignoring you. It's just, oh my God, I might have let that one slip by.
Yeah, absolutely. There's been times where I've received a single email from somebody, and it was a crazy day. Maybe I didn't see it. Yeah. And then it's 6 months later, I'm searching for some sort of email, and I find that message, and it's just too bad, because I would have loved to have been able to engage. So 100%. At least one or two follow-ups are totally fine. Yeah.
Doneen, you had a story about that.
Well, as I say earlier, Steve also mentioned make sure you have a car.
Yeah. Oh yeah, get a car. If you're going to LA, it's critical.
If you're going to LA, you need a car. Okay. If you don't want to drive, go to New York. But yeah, I mean, same thing. I did have a place to stay for the first. Well, actually, like once I got the first month of my job, I traveled. So then, by the time I came back, I had to move and find a place, and found a room on Craigslist. And I don't recommend it, but it got me through. But I think the big thing is, and especially if you're looking to get into reality TV, I can speak on is it's very precarious right now. I will say. The networks are not picking up a lot of shows. There's not a lot of new stuff happening, and even people who have been in the industry for a long time are having a hard time finding work. So don't be scared by it, because honestly, PAs are going to be something that we're going to need no matter what. But a lot of productions, honestly, are shooting not in LA anymore. They're going to Atlanta. They're going to Ireland. They're going to Scotland. They're going to Australia, and even in Canada. So it is definitely tricky. But, I still encourage you, if that's something that you want to do, to still try to make it work. And like Steve said, be persistent. I've had people who aren't even Cougs who've reached out to me randomly and keep following up with me year after year. I really want to work on this show. And eventually I'm like, okay, I got to give this person a shot, like they really want to work on the show. And it works out or it doesn't, but at least I've tried, and we've tried. So, yeah, I think that's one of the big things.
Great. We're going to take some questions, so if you have any questions, you can go to that microphone over there, and while you're trying to deliberate what question you want to ask, I'll put this to the panel. This theme of this year's Murrow Symposium is connections, networking. Tell us the importance of that, because I know that sometimes you'll shake someone's hand, make an impression, and you don't realize that that's the first and last impression you left on them.
Yeah, no, I'll just say, plus one to that, but networking in LA is absolutely critical. And so I think with everybody coming here, that's a good first step, and definitely take advantage of all the alumni and other folks that are here. And take advantage as you get down in LA or wherever you go in your careers to take those opportunities to network, whether it's through the Alumni Association, other professional associations. Always make sure that you're giving people a great first impression. You're being engaging. You're having an interesting conversation. And basically, if there's an opportunity for them to help, a lot of people will want to help. And so it's okay to ask that question. Not everybody's going to be able to immediately help, and so just be okay with that. But lots of people do want to help, and so I would definitely encourage you to really work on those networking skills through events like this, and be ready to go down into your next step of your careers with those strong networks, and really invest in that. Because I'll say, at least I know for myself, every single job I've ever had is through a network. I have not gotten a single job other than I think my first one at Target when I was in high school. But other than that, every job that I've ever had has been through a network or a personal connection.
Yeah, and you just brought up what I was going to, and I will second that, because for me too, every job is somebody, and somebody can vouch for you.
Yeah.
Because it's I'm sure it's the same in other industries, but they're taking a chance on somebody that you have no reference for, a resume that just showed up in your inbox, that the chances of getting a job that way are very, very slim. So, but if you can make a connection with somebody at the company, or a friend of a friend from the company you want to work with, that can say, oh yeah, I know Joe, and Joe knows Jim, and that's how it works, 100% all the time.
Absolutely. And it's interesting, because I know a lot of people who have agents, and they send them out on interviews and things, but ultimately, honestly, I'm like, you don't need an agent. You need just to know the right people, because I have not gotten one job from an agent, and many of the people that I know who have agents even ultimately get their own jobs, and then they even carve it out from their agent, like, I got this job, Right. So it is really kind of just making those connections and maintaining them. It's hard because, and I'm sure the same thing with you guys as well, you travel a lot too, so you're in and out of town constantly, you don't know when you're going to be in town, and just like reaching out to friends or coworkers that you haven't seen in a while, to just be like, hey, I'm going to be in town this week. Do you want to grab dinner? Just to stay in touch and make sure that they're in the front of your mind. And I can't tell you how many times somebody's reached out to me randomly, and I'm like, oh, I'm not looking for anything, but if anything comes up, I'll let you know. And then like, boom, a month later, something comes up, and oh my God, they're perfect for it. And I know that they're available because they reached out and let me know. And if you're not in the front of my mind, I might not remember. So yeah, just stay in touch.
Jacob, did you have a question?
Oh yeah, I just had a question for all.
Is that on? Is the switch on?
It's okay, I can hear you.
Yeah, we can
hear
you.
There it is. Maybe? No.
I guess just a question for all three. I'm a senior, Jacob Carr. I'm sure a lot of seniors are having this question too. Are you hiring?
So short answer, yeah, Amazon's hiring a ton. Not me specifically, but for folks who are looking at Amazon opportunities, there are tons of stuff around the world. Feel free to reach out. Like, happy to help with referrals.
Not right now, but you never know. Yeah. That's the thing about my specific job, is our jobs are like only for a short period of time, and then they come and go constantly year round. There's nothing really consistent.
Yeah, same with me. It's a lot of project-based stuff. So we have a core group of people that are, form the company, and then we scale up and scale down depending upon the show. We might only have 5 people in our office at any given time, but we hire 25 or 50 or just depends. So yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Since I'm at the front, I'm Amadi, so I'm a student here. And I was just wondering, how do you find originality when it feels like everything's already been done? How do you find like that creative, how do you get those creative juices going when it's so hard to find niches nowadays?
That's a great question. It's a lot of time spent brainstorming, really, and also trying to, it's really hard for me, to be honest with you, because I'm so busy, but like to try and stay up on what is current too, and like especially in your field, seeing what other people are doing to make sure that you're not doing what they're doing, because it's very easy, and I think I've noticed this even on like medical dramas where I'm watching them in one season, 3 different medical shows have the same medical case on different episodes, and I'm like, they must be reading the same like newspapers because it's the same exact story. And so it's just kind of like making sure that you're kind of staying in touch with what's happening. And really it's just like brainstorming and not being afraid to do something different. And in a brainstorming session, I often say, okay, this sounds crazy, but what if we, and then other people start to build off of it, and then we come into something that's even better than what the crazy idea was,
Yeah, and the same in the visual world. I keep going back to it because it's the last show we just did, this Opry show in Nashville. We didn't start working on the creative until about a week and a half before the show happened. Normally it's a couple months, 3 months out. And so it was definitely all hands on deck, you and your mom and your brother, coming up with ideas, listen to the song, look at the lyrics, just let's get 10 ideas for each song, and then we can kind of winnow it down from there.
I think we could try to get one more question in, Spencer.
Yeah, having the great chance to talk to you guys already down in LA, we talked a lot about how a lot of PA positions especially don't last very long, these days, weeks, maybe 6 months if you're lucky. What's your best advice to not be deterred from working and keep staying motivated when you're constantly having to look for the next thing every day or every week?
I think you will naturally be motivated because you're learning something new. Every show is different. You're doing something different. It can be exciting and interesting, but it can also get boring. But I think I was talking about this earlier with some people, making sure that when you do have that job, even if it's only a couple of days, that people on set that are in positions higher than you or in positions of hiring know what your ultimate interest is and what you want to do, so that when an AC position opens up with the camera team, or a technical PA position opens up, something that's more specialized, that you're probably going to have more success in going forward and going up a path, that you won't be PAing hopefully for too long, and that you'll be able to get into those other roles.
Yeah. I'll just add one more note on that. It's really important to be memorable for the right reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And I say the right reasons because you never want to be that person that's, oh my God, that person's a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
Get them out of here. But like being remembered as the person who hustles, being the person who asks good questions at the right time. And I think that's really important. If you're getting ready to shoot and you're getting ready, you can't be the person who just coming in. It's like, hey, what's going on here? You have to do it at the right time. And so it's definitely having a balance of understanding time and place, but then also just out hustling people. And I think that's actually one of the great things about folks coming out of Pullman is just inherently so many people coming out of Pullman have that inherent hustle, of just wanting to work harder than maybe some of our other brethren out there. So I think that is really important, and then with that then can, number one, form friendships and relationships, and number two, exactly as Doneen was saying, when it comes time to staff up for that next role, they're going to remember you as, hey, number one, that person is going to kick ass, and hey, there's someone I'd like to be with all day long, and that becomes really important.
Okay, I think we can get one more question in, Lisa Sophia.
Yeah.
Hi Marv, hey Steven, how's it going?
I want to work in the entertainment industry personally, but after hearing what our keynote speaker said this morning about working in esports, I was just curious, what other routes are there for someone who wants to maybe not go into entertainment or news or sports? What other opportunities are there in LA or just in general for us?
I mean, God, that's a long question.
Yeah.
So basically, I think one of the things that I would encourage you to do is, as you're thinking about, so back to the question, introduce yourself to me in 5 years. I think one of the things I'd encourage you to think about is location. You also want to think about, let's call it type of media. And so, do you want to work in films or commercials or TV shows, et cetera, et cetera. And then what is the type of role that you're interested in? And based on the answer to those questions, you can really start putting together what are the steps that are going to be to get there. And so, to your question, what other sorts of jobs are out there? I mean, honestly, I think the question is like, what is the sort of content that you're passionate in? And that sort of content is changing all the time. And so, is it TV, is it film? Or like, hey, I'm a huge fan of esports. Or hey, like I'm a fan of, like we have a Coug who got her start like making makeup tutorials on YouTube. And she turned that into a career. Or, there are just so many opportunities now in this world of the creator economy where you can have a podcast, or you can have a YouTube channel, or you can have a TikTok account. And there are opportunities to turn those things into much bigger passions over time. And so I think, honestly, my best advice would be start thinking about the answer to that question and what are kind of those three pieces. And that can give you a lot of structure and guideposts to kind of start answering what comes next.
Okay, I want to thank our panelists today, Steve, Ian, and Doneen, and thank you all for joining us.